Majority of the population said they are scared about what is going to happen.
Story she just gave is a reflection of what happens in different places.
I look at it from my community lens because nothing beats community support.
We should not see ourselves as if we are apart from the environment.
It was very sad seeing somebody who is studying an environmental focused course, asking them what does environmental sustainability means to you, and the person is telling you it means sweeping my room.
There's no shortcut when nature is concerned.
A lot of young people across the world are doing amazing things. Nigerian youths cannot be left out.
Across the globe today, the forests are falling. So many environmental challenges. The seas are rising. Species are going into extinction. And this also affects Nigeria. That's why the Naija Eco Vibes is here today to present a formidable topic which lies on youth and ecosystem restoration. I'm your host for today, and my name is Sanga Atsurate Excella, but you can call me Tura. I'm definitely not doing this alone. I have...
Hello everyone, I am Olushomi Odugowa, but for all purposes and intention, I will go by Shomi. And once again, welcome to the Naija Eco Vibes podcast. It's the maiden edition, like you all know. This is the first time we're reaching you here from here. And it's going to be a beautiful time of beautiful conversations. But more importantly, it is powered by the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. That's NCF. Across all platforms, it is at NCF Nigeria on YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, everywhere and anywhere at all. It is at NCF Nigeria. And also, the podcast handle is at Naija Eco Vibes Podcast. I'll take that again, at Naija Eco Vibes Podcast. And like Tura rightly mentioned, we're not doing this alone. We've got a seasoned expert with us who will be, dissecting the conversation and around climate change, environment, sustainability, and all of that. Yeah. But let me not drop all the tea yet. Let me allow them do justice. Can you please they say ladies first, right?
Yes, please.
All right. So please, can you just introduce yourself and just let's get to meet you and how you got into this environment space and all of that.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. My name is Favour Eragbie. Yes. I'm an environmentalist. I'm based in Nigeria, and my work focuses on environmental education, conservation, and climate technology.
Awesome.
Brilliant. We have a formidable personality with us today. He's no other but the creme cum gras. The creme de la creme in the conservation space, no other but the Director General of Nigerian Conservation Foundation, Dr. Joseph Onoja.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's such a pleasure that the dream is finally coming true, that we are starting off with the maiden edition, and it's so much a pleasure that I'll join you in this maiden edition. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. We're so honored to have you both with us today in the studio.
Yes.
I'd like to ask Favour, what drove you? What's the passion?
Exactly.
What's the inspiration behind you being an environmentalist as a young person?
The passion came from witnessing a lot of climate issues in my community. I grew up in a local community in Lagos, and growing up, nobody was really going to tell us what was happening in our community was as a result of climate change. I mean, I witnessed floods. I lost a classmate due to floods, which climate change was a major driver. But due to climate education, which is absent in mainstream education, most times fingers were easily pointed to government. Sometimes it was even culture to say, oh, that's ill luck and issues like that. So for me, witnessing these issues and then finding out that climate change is actually the leading cause, and knowing that millions of people across the globe are going to be pushed towards a very breaking point if actions are not taken. That's the passion for me. That's the drive to actually pursue this career.
Beautiful. I was going to you touched on something very important. I feel like you should maybe expand on that. You might also give us some insight. You mentioned that you lost a classmate to something around climate change. Do you want to touch on that?
Yes, so this Friday was a Friday, and I was coming back from school. It was a primary school. I was in primary school, and there was this flood happening in the community.
Yes.
So I guess, young people, children, I think it was over ambitious to cross over into the community, and they walked into the water, and it happened.
Wow.
It was never found. Wow. It was never found. So issues like this, instances like this. I also had another occurrence when I was in high school. Yes. I mean, the floods came, we could not go home, and we were seeing houses under the water. It was very terrible, and these incidences were recording in my mind.
Triggers.
Yes, triggers little by little, and I decided we really need to do something about issues like this.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's really impressive, and that reminds me that NCF, as a premier environmental
Organization,
NGO,
yes.
has been doing this a lot. You spoke about education and awareness, and we know that NCF is pivotal to, some of these policies and bringing these issues to limelight. So we'll allow DG to, expand on that.
The story she just gave
Yes.
is a reflection of what happens in different places. In fact, we just witnessed 2 weeks ago a Mokwa flood that happened, and in fact, I think the numbers as at last were about over 200 people and still counting.
Wow.
A lot of people are unaccounted for. Homes have been destroyed. Some people completely wiped off from the face of the community and all of that. So everything kind of just happened in a flash. So what she narrated is just a reflection of what is happening globally, not just in Nigeria, but much more in Nigeria and in some other developing countries, because we are more vulnerable to the issues of the environment.
Yes.
And that's why we should take it more seriously. And it's important for everybody to take action. Not just the government, as she pointed out. We all have that responsibility, because sometimes when some of these things are mentioned, the first thing people will do is that they absorb themselves of any responsibility. Meanwhile, we all have every responsibility. We are the government.
Yes.
The government are not the ones trashing indiscriminately.
Right.
Yeah, the government the government is not a monster somewhere or a machinery somewhere. They are human beings who make up the government, which we are also part of it as citizens.
Yes.
And we have that responsibility. And that is why looking at it from the youth angle, which we are going to dive into, it's very, very important, because the demographic of the youth gives us that power, gives us the gives us that hope that things can turn around.
Yes.
Because once the youth decide to put their energy into it, they will see changes. So I'm sure it's something that we're going to be expanding more on.
Yes,
Awesome. Thank you so much. In fact, you just keyed us in, right? Talking about youth and
ecosystem restoration.
Yeah, so Tura, you want to do more justice to the topic, and so we can.
Okay, so I really wanted to ask so that our audience, because the way DG just explained, our target is actually the youth. So that they can really understand. We want to bring, all of what we've been doing in the environmental space.
Yes.
We want to bring it down to their level. What is ecosystem and ecosystem restoration? What do they mean by that? When we say these things, some people feel it's far-fetched, it's for the elite.
Yeah.
But
what's going on? What is it?
Yes. We keep talking about it. Is it just a movement for United Nations, or what is the ecosystem restoration?
Okay, so let me break it down.
Yes, sir.
So when we talk about ecosystem, so eco is actually from the Greek word being oikos, which is like home. So ecology is the study of animals in their home, because oikos, as I mentioned, is home, and we know that logos study.
Yes.
So ecology is the study of animals in their homes. So when you talk about ecosystem, now in that home, there are a lot of things that nature has put in place that works in a system. And if you understand what the system is, a system is something that you don't have to go there and touch it before it works.
Yes.
For instance, the leaves that we have here now are producing oxygen without being prompted.
Interesting.
Yes. And while they are producing oxygen, they are tapping, their tap roots are taking in water that supports all of those processes. While that is going on, there are animals that are feeding on them.
Okay.
And while the animals are feeding on them, for instance, the birds, where they feed on the seeds, they digest the seeds, because some fruits will not fruit if they don't pass through the guts of animals. That's that they're able to they're able to propagate them. So the animals serve as dispersal agents. So all of these things are going on
Just
without
like
anyone interfering with anybody. And that is why we have what we have. So when you talk about ecosystem, that is what you are talking about. Now, because of the work of this ecosystem, it provides the enabling environment for humans to be able to live. And that is why when I talk, I say humans, we should not see ourselves as if we are apart from the environment. We are part of it, because we are at the top of the food chain. And what happens is that when you're at the top of the food chain, if everything under you collapse, you will so fall from that top. Yes. And that is why it's very dangerous for us. And that's why we should care what is happening to
beneath us, so to speak.
To the system that is supporting us. For instance, the plants don't need the oxygen. We are the ones who need the oxygen.
Oxygen, yes.
So they are providing that oxygen for us to be able to breathe and live our lives.
Okay.
And I tell you what, artificial oxygen is much more expensive than this
Right,
one.
than
Yes,
this one
yes.
we have. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact,
Okay.
there was this story about a lady who was complaining that they pay so much oxygen for her relative, and the relative eventually died. That happened to
Wow.
me personally.
Wow.
When my dad spent 1 week in the hospital, in fact, they told us he was on oxygen for about a week. So they said before he can even come out of the coma, he will have to breathe the natural oxygen.
Wow.
Even the artificial wouldn't be able to sustain him. But when he passed eventually, we paid much more money. The bill,
Wow.
it was the oxygen that consumed most of the bill. So you could see that
Interesting.
the natural oxygen, the oxygen that we have, which nature has given to
Given
us.
us,
Provided,
Yes, it's just providing for us. So imagine what happens if we don't have oxygen.
And everyone
Everything
think
will
about
just
it.
exactly. So that's why we say and our food is from the environment.
Yes.
It's product of that ecosystem.
Okay.
Our livelihood is product of that ecosystem. Whatever we do is a product of that ecosystem. And that is why we need to be involved in it to ensure that that ecosystem continues to be that system.
Right.
But over time, human activities is degrading the ecosystem.
Exactly. I was going to get there because I was going to say because it seems like something is
happening to it
right now.
exactly.
Yes.
Drivers.
So exactly. So
Exactly.
human activity over time, natural causes and so on have been pushing down the ecosystem, been affecting the ecosystem, but it gives it the ability to recover because it's a natural system. Because see, the things that the ecosystem renews itself.
Okay.
So when something happens, for instance, it's like a predator-prey relationship, which is part of the ecosystem.
Okay.
When you have a predator,
Yes.
I'll give you an instance of three of them:
Okay.
a lion, the antelope,
Yes.
and grass.
Okay.
When you have so much antelopes in a place,
Yes.
there will be so much that they will trample on the grasses,
Yes.
and then they will kill the grasses. Now they will not have grasses to eat,
Yes.
and then they will now start having issues because the grass is not able to support their population, and then they will not be as productive as they will be. So their population will go down, will
There'll be a
reduce.
decline with their
Yeah,
numbers.
exactly. Then it allows the grasses to also grow.
Okay.
So while that is going on,
Yes.
while they are also increasing, the lions are also catching them and eating them.
Okay.
While the lions are feeding on them,
Population control.
yes, while the lions are feeding on them, the
Right.
lions are also growing. But by the time that the lions feeds on them so much,
Yes.
that now the population has gone down, the lion will not be able to catch much again. So the lion also will not be able to produce as much. So that is how the ecosystem regulates itself without human beings. Now the issue comes in when human being is introduced in it. So we now kill much more than we should. So we now interfere. So I'm using that as an example.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where now we now degrade the ecosystem. And if we degrade the ecosystem, so the ability for it to recover fast is no longer there.
Yeah.
And that is why we need to now deliberately come in to be able to ensure that we help.
That balance, so to
Yeah,
speak, is still
exactly.
maintained.
You know, Digi, what you just said now brings, it's very enlightening. I'm sure our audience can also attest to some of this knowledge. These are nuggets. So, sir, what can we do to mitigate these issues? How can the youth come in? I don't know if you can give the space to.
Yeah, in fact, that's where
Yes.
she comes
Yes.
in.
How can the
Yes.
youth
Yes.
come in
Yes.
to, mitigate some of these issues?
Okay, for issues regarding the environment, loss of biodiversity, nature loss, it's actually a lot. There are a lot of issues coming from oceans, the forests, wetlands, even there's that young people have a major role to play because our future depends on it. So one way we can all come in is, firstly, I'm an environmental education activist. So I would say start with yourself.
Right.
We need to educate ourselves first. We need to understand what environmental sustainability means. It's beyond, like for me when I was in uni, it was very sad seeing somebody who is studying an environmental focused course, asking them, what does environmental sustainability means to you? And the person is telling you, it means sweeping my room. That's the reality. We need education. We need proper education integrated into our curriculum so that young people can understand, because that's where they start with themselves. They need to start with themselves, because until you begin to understand certain issues, what is wrong. I started with my community. I started as a university student. I understood pollution was the bedrock of issues.
In your community?
Yes, in my
Right.
community as a University of Benin student. I understood that. That was how I started. So, but if you don't have education, that is lost. So they need to educate themselves, and also they need to start taking up initiatives. Yes, a lot of young people across the world are doing amazing things.
Yes.
Nigerian youths cannot be left out. They
Yes.
need to pick up that
Amen to that. Amen to that.
they need to pick up that same initiative to
Yes.
start leading community programs, engaging communities, from education to innovation to tech. There are a lot of ways like young people can actually come in. So those are like the ways young people can actually come into the space actually.
Okay, so I was going to say now, because looking at how the conversation is flowing now, because it looks like when you look at the average young person, it just feels like there's a, I don't know how to put it. It's like when I say by default, there's a detachment, and it just feels like the young person just wants to. I just want to relax. I just want to enjoy. I just want to enjoy my life. I just want to make money. I just want to. So it feels like there's a detachment between nature. It feels like the other person just looks like it, like say, nature will take care of it. Is it my problem? Before I came, it was there.
He was
So I'm here. It's here.
And even
if
when
I
I
leave,
leave,
it will
it's
be
still
there.
there.
So you can sense that detachment. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. So
Yes.
I'm thinking. So how do we? I know you mentioned education, but
Yes.
Yeah,
how
she
do
made
we-
she made mention of tech as well.
so how do we now make it more appealing that it now becomes a subconscious, it becomes a part of and the young person? I know, for instance, let me just give this funny example, because if you think about Brazil, by default, I don't know, the sporting world, Brazil is known for football. And so you feel like when you travel there, everywhere, it looks like a culture to them. So you feel like if you're from Brazil and you cannot play football, it's like something is wrong with you. I don't even get my point. So
Yeah.
how do we now get to the point? Because looking at it, we have Nigeria's population, about 60% are young people. So how do we make it a point where the average youth, the average Nigerian youth, sees nature, the environment as their business?
You're absolutely correct. I've also faced that in my work. I mean, when I started at the University of Benin, I had students. Like, I think this is an opportunity to share my own story.
Okay,
The
please
plant
do.
biology
Yes.
student, I decided I wanted to go into environmental sustainability. And I shared the opportunity on my class group chat to say, oh, I want to put together a group of students.
Okay.
Can we come together? Let's begin to tackle these issues. We can no longer wait and blame the government. I mean, when the floods come, the governments are not the ones affected.
Definitely.
If the floods are so terrible in the state, trust me, the governor is going to be lifted out of the state first before we. So I posted this information on the group, and you need to see the feedback. It was like, that is not my business. It is not my business. I studied plant biology. I did not study theater arts. For if we still have that gap, two things make young people not interested: ignorance and climate anxiety.
Really?
Yes, ignorance. The ignorance
Okay.
issue is there. One thing we usually do is we kind of call it an evangelism. Where we talk to people, sometimes when you have conversations with them, they begin to rethink some things, particularly from what the media portrays,
Yeah.
Okay.
upbringing, those kind of things, even myth. Like the ignorance solves
Yes,
that.
myth.
Yeah, then climate anxiety. A lot of young people are scared. There was a survey I carried out at the University of Benin. Majority of the population said they are scared about what is going to happen.
Are
I mean,
you serious?
across the globe, we're seeing a lot of climate events happening, and it's like
So what are the
So
actions?
you
What
need
are the
some
actions?
people are aware about
yes,
it's
they're aware
coming
about
close to home.
yes. So the first step we need to take, again, I'll come back, is education. We need to educate young people for them to understand their role. They need to understand that their role is central in ecosystem restoration. It's not behind the scenes. It's not something that, it's an extension. They are central. And also we need to support their programs, their initiative. We have a lot of young people coming up with a lot of innovative ideas, resources. They lack the tools, they lack the funding, they lack the partnership, particularly with intergenerational collaborations. I mean, individuals who have done the work, who have gone 10 years, 15 years into this space, let them come back and empower young people. Let it not just be one-off collaboration just to say, come and sit down, let's talk and just hear everything or what is happening. Let there be real-time opportunities. Mentorship.
Yeah, exactly.
We need mentorship
Right.
in the conservation space so that young people can key into they can start looking beyond, I'm just behind the ecosystem.
Or it's not my business.
Yes, it's not my business.
Right.
So these actions, we actually make them understand they're actually central
So-
in
You know, from
accelerating ecosystem restoration.
All right. So writing on what Favour actually said, and it's true that there should be that intergenerational collaboration where you have the older people who are in the environment mentoring
Yes.
the young people, because
Yeah.
the truth is that they are the ones with the energy now. They are the ones with the innovation. They are the ones with this solution.
vibes.
Exactly. And then they have the population, the demographics,
Exactly.
as I
Yes.
said. Because if the youth wants to change things around, not just in terms of the environment, anything at all in Nigeria, they have the power to be able to make that happen. As long as they have, they want to. And that's where the education comes in. And talking about mentorship, as a Nigerian Conservation Foundation,
Yes.
we have youth program, and we are open to such mentorship. And sometimes we can even offer some, even let me, as the CEO, let me mention that we can even offer some I think readable monetary grants to be able to push some of these innovations, to be able to make
Please
that
give it up,
happen.
give it
Yeah,
up, give it up.
yeah, so at least, so we are able to work. We work with mentors to see how we can bring ideas together and see how we can bring innovative solutions that will push things around, because the way the youths look at things is not the way we older generation will look at them.
things.
And because your mind are still very, you can bring a lot of energy, you can bring a lot of thinking. You think even without a box, not talk about thinking outside of the box. So these are some of the things. And the education, as you mentioned, and that's why we have something like the Naija Eco Vibes, bringing
Right.
this in the way that the youth will connect to and understand the language. Not that we'll be speaking one very big grammar of all of those
Plenty
things, but
technical
that
terms.
exactly. They're able to understand all of the things that we're doing.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Favour. Thank you, DG, for that clarification and
Yes.
balance. Please remember that this is Naija Eco Vibes podcast, where we are sustaining nature one vibe at a time. Just in case you forget, I'm talking to the audience now. Favour has said we are not engaging. Please engage us. That's why
Right.
this platform is here.
They
Okay.
should subscribe, they should follow, they should
Subscribe,
like,
follow
share.
all the social media platforms. Thank you so much at
Yes.
Naija Eco Vibes podcast. So, riding on our conversations,
Yes.
I want to say that there's a little bit of dichotomy with, environmental protection and tech, fashion, entertainment industry. Do we think that this could be, an economically viable, industry for young people? Because a lot of
Right.
persons, like you said, people are doing innovative things in the world. Tech is taking up the space, right? And is bringing people money. A lot of persons are, jack
Now,
by
where to say,
for greener
where's the money
pastures. Yeah. So can we say that, can we balance it that if you go into the environmental space, you'll be able to make some bit of money, while you're also sustaining nature?
Yes, and this is something that every young person should know out there.
Yeah.
Because
Please, I'm
when
really
you
interested.
hear about environmental sustainability, they think it's about green and trees and animals.
Yes.
But today we have innovation leading the way.
Tell
I
me
have
about
friends,
it.
I have colleagues whose lives have changed because of they saw issues outside the box. They were able to think outside the box.
A
that-
pinpoint.
Yes, when it comes to conservation of forests, for example, they
Yes.
apply tech to these things. It's a key focus of what my work does, what my organization does.
Okay.
We have a campus focal point program where
Okay.
we engage university students.
Yes.
We engage university students from any department in a university across Africa. So we want to see people in theater arts. We want to see people in engineering. We want to see people in accounting. We're
Right.
talking about climate finance. So we need
Because it doesn't care. The first don't care about your background.
We need to see people from different areas coming together to understand this things. So it boils down to you understanding the primary issue in your community. You begin to apply solutions. Take, for instance, you're in a community.
Yes.
There is plastic pollution. You
Yeah.
have plastic bottles littered everywhere. And that community does not have probably roads, like good roads. I have a colleague in DR Congo who told me
Okay.
that is what they are currently working on. During World Environment Day, they went to a lake, cleaned up lake, got bottles. Now they want to turn the bottles, upcycle the bottles into paving tiles to actually fill up some areas in the community that are bad. So this is how young people are thinking. They're not
Okay.
thinking even the regular way of just to go and plant trees and just go away.
Yes.
Even tree planting now, they're adding a lot of spice into it. People are planting trees and they're also bringing beekeeping to it. So
Right.
to bring, because if you want to go to a local community, something I've faced, you're going to a community telling
Yes.
them, oh, you need to keep your environment clean. people are asking, what are the
What's-
economical benefits?
Yeah.
What's in it for me?
What is
Because
it?
I was going to.
What is in it for me?
Yeah.
So you cannot
Yes.
just tell people, oh, you need to keep your environment clean. Okay, yes, it's good for nature. Yes, it's good for your
Yes.
health. But people are also looking for the economical benefits. So these areas are areas that young people can actually explore. Trust me, the ideas are endless. So these are areas
Right.
young people can actually explore. Apply innovation. Seriously, it is social, economic, like that's sustainable
Right.
development, environment, socio-economic development, like thriving at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
And I love what you said
Yeah,
about
okay.
environment being the problem of environment is the
Yes.
problem of all. So it cuts across your field, your career.
Yeah.
It just, and it's in recent times, even
Yes.
in companies, organizations, they are adding a bit of, environmental sustainability.
Sustainability, yeah, it's becoming is it a buzzword? I would say, but beyond being a buzzword,
exactly. In most companies now.
Yes.
In fact, it's even a law
It's
in Nigeria.
regulatory.
It's
now.
regulated.
Yeah,
right?
it's, yeah,
Yes,
it's regulatory. Yes. It's a regulatory requirement for them.
Well, for organizations to
Yeah,
have
for
that,
organizations,
that
yes.
component.
If you
in there.
have if you have
ESG,
staff
yeah.
at least 50, if you have 50 staff under your
Interesting.
payroll, that should be part of your component in the company. So that being said, I wanted to link it to this same economic viability of
Yes, because
sustainability.
I wanted us to also say expand, because it feels like the young person. Listen, I'm trying to put myself in their
In
shoes.
their
Because
shoes.
now, as Favour was speaking, it felt like Favour was going. She was about to hit on the nail on the end, and I was waiting. Okay, so someone like, where the money did? Where's the money
You
at?
get-
Where is it?
she's
Yeah.
you're going through the corner. Favor, come direct.
the
know?
money is in
Is
the action.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
Yeah,
Money is in the action,
Yeah.
trust me.
Mhm.
You need
Okay.
to start from where you are.
Yeah.
If the
Okay.
issue is plastic pollution, trust me, just start.
Right.
You need to start understanding your community. You need to know what works. Seriously, I
Okay.
would list so many ideas. You cannot
Yes.
go and go and start everyone. So you need to know what really works from your community.
Oh,
because
based on the lens of where they
yes,
are at.
where
right
you
now.
are, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of projects because of where I am, I cannot really go that direction.
Okay.
So I look at it from my community lens, because nothing beats community support. It's something we must not leave out.
Yeah.
If you want economic viability
Yes.
in your sustainable solution,
Yes.
bring community into it.
Into this,
You see
okay.
these women, you see these elders like really keen into it,
Yes.
working with you, ensuring that your processes, everything follows suit. So I would
Yes.
just say it's in the action.
Right.
Whatever action, whatever direction you choose, if it's forest, if it's ocean, just start.
Okay.
You need
Beautiful.
to start. It unfolds as you go on. When I
Yes.
started my journey, I didn't know so much. What I wanted to do when in 2021 was it's not what I'm doing now. But
Right.
as the years unfold, I'm beginning to see things. Oh, understand this is why this should work this way.
Yes.
This is how things work. So I could list out thousands of solutions.
You know,
Yeah.
don't mind me. So you don't look as if I'm trying to, but for the sake of our conversation,
Yeah.
of course we understand, and you made a vital point that it should be
The money is in the action.
in
Yes.
action. One, that's a key point, and also two, irrespective of the ideas we put forward, the key thing is looking around you where you
Yes.
are and starting from there. But for the sake of our conversation now, can we get to maybe I also allow DG come here to as well. Can we list some of these things, some of these areas that we can say, okay, this niche area here, if young people look in this place, this is a viable path. If you look in this place, this is a viable path. If you look in this, I don't know, at least for the sake of education and enlightening people. Yes.
All right. So before I answer your question, let me.
Yes.
There about 30 years now. Yeah, about no, not 30, 25 years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago.
Yes.
When I was in the Yankari Game Reserve doing my
Oh,
PhD. Yeah, so we got some students from, I think they were studying ecology then at FUTI then, which was Federal University of Technology, FUTI as was known then. So there were two of them, a guy and a lady, and then one hot afternoon when we were measuring trees in the fields, the guy just brought up a question that, do they make money in ecology? So what from there? Also, we all busted laughing because
Yes.
he's from a particular tribe in the country. So maybe his brothers have been asking him this question. That's why he
This
has
line
tried
you are
to,
throwing.
exactly. He tried to throw it up and things like that. But years down the line, looking back, I think they will not be as satisfied as he is if that followed this line, because it comes not just with the satisfaction of making physical money, and that's what people sometimes fail to
True.
realize.
Yes.
There's a satisfaction that coming to providing solution,
Adding value
to issues.
Creating impact.
Exactly. And that's why when people was talking, you see, every problem or every challenge,
Yes.
there lies a solution.
Yeah.
And then the money comes from scaling it.
Right.
There was a time whereby mobility was a problem. And
Yes.
Ford and others came together and said, we need to overcome that problem. And when they overcame that problem and they
Yes.
scaled it up, now they are multi-billionaires.
Yes.
So sometimes some of the things that we think are just ordinary issues, by
Yes.
the time we go into it, especially young people, they have this
True.
ability to think innovatively and bring up solution.
Yes.
And then by the time you scale this, just like every natural things, it doesn't just appear once. It takes, there's an incubation stage.
Right.
By the time you incubate it, before you know it, becomes a very big thing. And that is where we're challenging young people. We've talked about plastic pollution
Yes.
and the collecting of plastics.
Of plastic, yes.
We are talking about, and just the value chain around plastic
Around that alone.
alone, if not
Okay.
anything, the plastic pollution alone is
Right.
a major, because we know people who are uptakers of plastic, who use plastic for different things,
Yes.
and yet we still have plastic littering around our streets.
Which means
That
there's
shows
even
you that
space.
exactly.
Right.
That shows that this is just at its formative stages. Even with the way everybody's talking about plastic pollution, all of that, it's still at its
Yes.
formative stages.
Right.
And we are talking about this, you have different forms. You have different, you are talking about the single-use plastics, the PET bottles.
Right.
You have the other kind of plastic. So there are different that you can use. So styrofoams
Yes.
and all of that.
Yes.
So what solutions can we bring? Because when you see something that is in abundance,
Yes.
that means the utilization is not high. And that's where the thinking comes in.
Yes.
So I want to challenge young people to think
Right.
about it.
True.
And that's why you find a ripe fruit, you hardly find them long on the tree, because people normally cut them.
And harvest
But the
them
fruits,
fast.
but the fruits that are not edible are the ones that you find them.
Word
right
Exactly. That's just one thing. Talk about tree planting itself. There are lots of things that one can think about in tree planting. That young people can come into it. We are talking about tech. We are talking about geotagging these things. And by the time you take it up as a young person, you want to follow every tree and geotag it. It
Right.
starts like a passion. Gradually, you become the dictionary of all geotagged trees in Nigeria.
Right.
And everybody comes to you.
Comes to you.
So sometimes young people, I think sometimes we try to see it as a now solution.
Yes.
But when you
Right.
a now thing that will bring you now money.
No money.
Big
Yeah.
No,
money.
but then you incubate it and
Right.
it grows. So look at what you are beginning to start. Don't look at it in the next 2-3 months. Look at it what comes out of the next 5 years.
Right.
Just like she said, she started something, but now it has, because as a stone rolls down the hill, it gathers a lot of mud, a lot of things, a lot of value.
More momentum,
Exactly, more
everything is-
momentum,
yes,
exactly.
yes.
So by the time you start off, before you know it, it becomes something like, oh, where did I really start from?
Right.
Because it has so grown and have a life
Yes.
of its own. So if we remove that mentality of, we want to get the result
Now.
and especially working in the environment.
Yes.
I usually use this illustration. A young man may decide to impregnate 9 women,
Yes.
but they will not give birth in 1 month. Yes. They will not give birth in 1 month. So there's no shortcut when nature is concerned. And that's why, so you need to incubate these ideas. And before you know it, it becomes something. And by the time you scale it, that is where the solution comes. Because even if you make 1 naira in a scaled solution,
Yes.
before you know it, it amounts to much.
more,
So
yes.
that challenge that you think is a challenge, think about it. Not even just only the environment. Think about any challenge that you have as a young person, any challenge around you, even in education. I like the way you talked about the cross-cutting nature of conservation and sustainability. It's everywhere. A theater person can decide that, I want to make stories out of this. I want to make
Right.
drama out of this,
Out
to
of this.
create awareness. And that will stick to people, so that if anything is happening, is that person they'll call.
He's a movie powerhouse.
Exactly.
Auntie Funke Akindele.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
this.
So you see, so there are different ways. I used to tell people
Yes.
that the president has a photographer, the
Right.
president has a cobbler,
Someone was saying
the
he has a barber
president has
too.
a barber. So why won't you be that president if that is your niche?
Niche,
Why
right.
won't you be that? Why would you aspire to be that
be
person?
that.
And then it comes with excellence. It comes with thinking. It comes with thinking outside of the box, or even
True.
thinking without the box.
Innovation.
True.
Exactly.
Right.
It comes with innovation.
Innovation, yes.
What extra thing can you add? By the time you
Right.
provide solution, people will definitely
pay you
see.
for it.
I tell people that you see value.
Yes.
People follow value.
Right.
Yes. So by the time you follow value, money will come after you. But if you want to chase money, you will lose both the money and the value. So as a young person, so you need to look at these these challenges. Whatever what you want to complain about, think, stop and ask yourself, what solution can you bring?
About.
Because
Right.
with every challenge lies the opportunity. And once you're able to do that and you scale it, the rest will be history. Your name will be everywhere.
Wow. Thank you so much. That's been so insightful.
It felt like
Yeah.
the elephant walked past us. Did you feel it? Did you feel
Jim,
it?
Jim, Jim everywhere. But I was also going to say now that's so another key thing for me is that beyond, of course, the mindset or the notion that everything should happen fast now, money, make money now. We should look at compounding.
Yes.
Those few years down the line, where would these things scale up to? And that's a really huge insight. But I was also going to say, this part about plastic that now keyed us into another important conversation. Because this
Which is
period
part
now,
of ecosystem restoration.
Exactly. Because this period, it's World Environment, let's say a World Environment Month, so to
Month,
speak,
yeah.
in that
Yeah.
scenario. Yes. And again, like when you mentioned plastic pollution, it just struck me that and the theme is beat plastic pollution.
Yeah.
So that in itself is another conversation that we also need to look at and have. So looking at plastic pollution now, we talked about the fact that it's everywhere. We keep seeing plastic everywhere. So now, but beyond now, we are moving now from where maybe youths are saying we want to make money to now. So now, with plastic pollution and looking at Nigeria as a country, how do we tackle this issue and manage it? Because I know that the ripple effect is everywhere. The oceans suffering, like you mentioned, the ocean as well. Favour.
Yes.
The oceans are suffering from these things, and I even heard that even fishes also sometimes these
I
plastics
saw
they
it
get
on
to.
Nigeria. Some of these
Yeah.
pages on Instagram, they dive deep into the oceans.
Yes.
When they opened the fish, they found that they
Yeah,
saw some
plastic,
You,
contains
yeah.
plastic.
you can
I know-
imagine. You can imagine.
yeah.
So looking at this thing, how and also bringing it down to our home as a country, how do we manage? How do we tackle
Yeah,
this?
so
this-
because
this-
we know our mothers keep plastic bag behind the kitchen. That's how we do it.
yes.
Yes, I think the African culture embraces sustainability. There are a lot of practices, clay pots. I mean,
Yes, we
these are
used to do
practices we had,
Right.
but with the term of urbanization, everybody wants to move
Honestly.
forward. We
Yes.
started switching into. When it comes to plastic pollution, I'm going to be talking from experience. My
Yes,
experience
please.
with community
Yes,
members.
yes.
Nigeria is a very dynamic country that
Yes.
for me, I think Nigeria is a country where if you place bins for people to dispose plastic into those bins
Yes.
and you don't educate them properly, you don't create that awareness, Nigerians will not dump the plastic inside the bin. They will put it for you on the floor. Like, we need awareness.
Right.
People still see plastic as a convenient material, use it and just dump it. We need to create awareness. People need to understand that this plastic you are dumping here, it's a part of our climate education project. There I told it to kids, they were surprised. I said, you put your plastic in the gutter, rain comes, takes it, it goes to the canals, it flows to the ocean. The fishes you love consume it,
Yes,
microplastics,
plastics,
yes.
and you consume
Consume it.
those fishes.
Right.
So we need to create awareness. People need to understand these things, that we cannot just, this material,
Yes.
very convenient, very good to use, but you cannot just dispose it anyhow. And also we need solutions, particularly with disposal.
Right.
Some of the problems this community face, waste management system, very poor. They don't have waste management. You see communities, they still have landfills in the center. We have markets. I mean, we have it in Lagos. We have
Yes.
landfills beside marketplaces, those
Market.
kind of. So we need
True.
an efficient waste management system to collect trash. And also, people need to understand the potential in plastic. Let's stop dumping everything, all our waste into one. Like, if you can do that, your plastic waste,
Sorting out all
yes,
this.
Segregated
sorting,
from all of
segregated
this.
from all of that, and you recycle that. That's some money for you at the end of the month, at the end of the day. So people need to understand the dangers of plastic pollution. We need to put in systems for proper waste management, and people need to understand the opportunities in recycling plastic, because whether we like it or
Right.
not, that is like the solution we have.
In the
I
long
think
term.
we're looking forward to the Global Plastic Treaty, INT 5.2 in August. We are hoping there will be a more stronger law to actually bind these things together and let countries actually sit up.
Right.
While we wait for that, our current solution is actually recycling.
I like what you said that Nigeria, prior urbanization,
Yes.
we had sustainable practices. I recall that we used to have bottles, actual bottles, not plastic bottles now.
Yes.
Even with the Coca-Cola company, when you drink, you keep your crate, you must return. Well, before, that
Yes.
way, I don't know whether they gave them some level of incentives then, if you're a seller, a vendor, that when you return the crate,
If your
you
bottle
get-
is complete.
the crate must be complete.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's possible that we can revert to that era where we actually use bottle actual bottle
Yes, glass
water, glass bottles. But I know that some other countries, even African countries like Kenya, they use that, and then because of that, they are incentivized. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
maybe
So
the companies that produce that, they are free from taxes and levies. You know, something to support that.
Yeah, you see the thing with because if you look at the trajectory of
Yeah.
plastics and all of
Yes.
that, plastic came in with with a lot of convience. It seemed as if it was very
Yes.
convenient and
True.
all of that
Affordable.
and affordable, and
And it
it
was
became
fancy.
a thing of status as
Exactly, I
well.
was
It became
going
a
to-
thing of
yes.
status. Oh
Yes.
yeah, so you go and buy something from your grocery, and then you don't even need to carry it in a nylon bag,
Because
but
it's
you give it
just-
just for status sake. You want to carry
Yes.
it in a nylon bag and all of that. So these are some of for the packaging. We have leaves. For instance, there's this leaf that normally used for moi moi and things like that. We started
Yes.
using plastic instead of that.
True.
Plantain leaves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
So these are some of the things that needs to. I mean, we need to think and start rethinking and going back to it and see how we can make that happen. And then you go to some restaurants these days, they won't allow you to use your hand. They will now give you plastic gloves
True.
for you to be able to eat and all of that. So now it became like a status thing, and you must do that to be able to. But the truth is that how long can we continue to pollute our environment?
Right.
Nothing stops you from eating. Eating is a natural thing. You use your hands to eat. After then,
True.
you go and use soap to wash your hands and all of
Especially
that.
Amala
Yeah,
ni
see,
we do.
exactly. So you have luckily for us, Lagos is banning all the single-use plastics, plastic straws, plastic
Yes.
spoons, and all of that is the way to go, because it has its own socioeconomic issues as well,
Yes.
because when it blocks the waterway, if the ones that don't, before it goes to the ocean, it has already
Yes.
blocked the waterway, and then it causes
even
flooding.
rainy season,
and
and
then,
it's-
exactly, it has economic
water has no-
impact. All of this.
And
So
plastics are no, they are not.
they're not biodegradable, of
Yeah.
course. I mean,
Right.
they last for many years in the environment. Just like you mentioned, let me re-emphasize that point.
Yes.
Where when plastics go, they end up in our water bodies, and then our water bodies, the fish is there, nibble on these plastics, and they break down into microplastics. It embeds in their tissue, and where does this fish end up? It ends up on our plates.
On a plate.
And then we eat them, and then these plastics are staying in our bodies, and that's why
Right.
for young people, all this origin of cancer, this cancer, that cancer, this cancer, we don't
From
know
this
where it
vicious
ended up.
cycle,
and that is why if we go back to what I talked about, we being at the top of the food chain, we should not allow the food chain, because
Yes.
at the end of the day, we'll be at the
bounces
receiving
back
end.
end,
Yeah,
right.
so that is why it's important for us to make it to take it very important. And we're talking about how to beat plastic pollution in this with this the theme of this World Environment Day.
Yes.
There are different ways for us to
Right.
to beat it, because we also have to use the natural means as well. What I mean by natural means, things that you don't where you don't have to use plastics. It doesn't make you less. It doesn't make you less enlightened. In fact,
I feel like we need to drum that into people's
It
heads.
makes you
Yes.
more enlightened. Luckily for us, as Lagos, as I said, Lagos has banned this thing. So everybody should go around with their shopping bags, so that you can use over and over again. And we have this solution. For instance, NCF is working with some communities in the Niger Delta to use Nipa palm and other solutions to be able to provide bags, jute bags.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And these are some of the invasive species. Now you are
Right.
reducing the invasive species, because, as I mentioned earlier, if you don't utilize some things, it becomes so much.
Yes.
But by the time you start utilizing it, it becomes a raw material.
Right.
And then and that's an
Interesting.
outlet. And that is where the thinking comes in for the young people are talking about. You
Right.
talk about Nipa palm, for instance, and then you use Nipa palm to provide very good jute bags. You can put it in different areas that you have tourists coming around. They will buy these things. And before you know it, you may just hit one contract. They'll say, oh, supply 1 million of those bags, because we want to
Right.
take it even outside of Nigeria. When you think about a challenge,
Right.
before you complain about it, what is the solution that can come out of it? And then that will push you into ensuring that, oh yes,
Right.
you provide a solution. And then by the time you start looking at the solution, then you start thinking, okay, you start from where you are. Because you cannot stand up,
Exactly.
you cannot stand from where you are not. You start from where you
True.
are. Then you start thinking, who do I need to be able to get to where I want to go to? And by the time you talk to people listen, and they know those who are serious about things. Before you know it, there's nothing that's impossible.
Yeah.
Everything is possible.
Everything is doable.
Exactly.
It's doable.
You know, there's a wise someone that said that the world has a way of paving the way for somebody who knows exactly where he's going to. So by the time you
Word.
know where you are going
Sounds
to,
like Lord Denny.
yes, so by the time you going where you know where you are going to, you find, but when you talk about it, for example, when you were talking, Someone will know that, yeah, this is somebody that knows exactly what she wants to do. And people are quick to be able to support you, say, okay, yes, this is what we want. And that's where the mentorship comes in.
Yeah.
And that's where we are open again, as I said, as Nigerian Conservation Foundation, to be able to partner with young, innovative minds to bring solutions in different aspects of the environment.
Thank you very much, DJ. I mean, this also reminds me that NCF has, a voluntary section where you can volunteer. If you think you want to upskill your nature-based solutions in any capacity of yours, you can partner with NCF. And even as young people, those in school, looking forward to volunteering, we always, emphasize, go for internship. Come and work for nature. Come and work for sustainability.
And get that valuable experience that you can also always leverage.
And make that impact that you've always dreamt of. And somehow, somewhere, just the way DG is saying, somebody will spot you on. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much, DG.
It's been a beautiful conversation.
This was so inspiring and very enlightening.
Thank you so much, Favour.
So, just a recap of some of the key call to actions.
Right.
We've emphasized over and over in this episode that we need environmental enlightenment in terms of education, awareness. Young people should come on board on this. This can also give you money if you take the right action.
Very important.
Because if you're providing if you're creating value or you're providing solutions to a pain point within the environmental space, definitely you're going to see the money. And we've seen that the environmental space is multifaceted. So it's not like because you're doing plastic, you're doing plastic recycling, it's going to stop other people.
Stuck with that.
No. There is enough to go around. There is enough impact to go to be made, and enough money to be made as well. And also another call to action that DG made mention of also is about will I use the word marinating, but integrating tech with afforestation and restoration. Am I missing any other call to action?
What just stood out for me is the fact about compounding and the fact that young people should not be in a hurry, because there's this crave for I want to make money now.
Yes.
So, my friend, this is what this person is doing. This person is driving this. This person is driving that. How can I jump on this? But look long term. Compounding, when you pay attention to something, allow it grow, the yields become incredible. So that's one key takeaway.
Thank you so much. Without further ado, we are sustaining the nature one vibe at a time. Let's not be too serious. So we have something very cute, very a touch of them before they leave. When we were in school, then you write on the board, I was here.
They scattered the whole hostel walls and bed with that.
I say we have a signing board for you where you just make a little inscription. The world has seen and heard what you've said today, and a little imprint of yours on our signing board. Can we have the board and the markers? Thank you.
This is a nice board. Yes.
Okay, can I have the marker?
Okay, here you go.
I'll just do that here.
Yes, your name and today's date. If you want to sign, that's fine. Please, did you say something?
Yes.
That when a stone is rolling, it gathers. This is our first stone that is rolling. Please roll with us. Subscribe on our social media platform.
Very important.
Naija Eco Vibes podcast.
Right.
Subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We intend to carry everybody along because we are very, very inclusive in terms of integration. So whatever topic you want us to discuss, please put it in the comment section and we'll definitely get to it.
Also, more importantly as well, I think if something from our conversation you can easily pick up is that irrespective of who you are, whatever you are doing, there's a space for you in the conservation world. You can find yourself. Yes. So maybe you are a student, you're an artisan, you're an entrepreneur, whatever it is you are doing, there's something you can always come on board to do.
Shami, can you see this signature? Did you signature went to CBN and IMF? This is so nice, and this is these people, this set of guests are pioneer guests, and we intend to have more people up on our show and our podcast, the Naija Eco Vibes podcast. So we implore you to stay tuned, stay connected. We'll be bringing these episodes to you one vibe at a time, monthly. Please tell your friend to tell a friend. Subscribe on our social media platform. And most importantly, please take out the actions that we are preferring. We want this to not just be where we are catching vibes and cruise, but we're actually making sustainable impact.
True. I think there's also something we also need to do. Of course, we like to be very hospitable here, and we don't like to just bring
just a way to show our appreciation. Everything is very sustainable and eco-friendly.
Yes, right. And it carries our inscription: Naija Eco Vibes podcast, powered by
Nigerian Conservation Foundation.
So much.
NCF.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. We are honored to have have you here. And we implore you
It's a
to
pleasure.
visit Lekki Conservation Center in case you've not been there to experience nature
Sure,
at
I
its
will.
peak and
Is
everything.
what do we like to say? Is it the premium oxygen where they can take in?
Premium. Premium.
Yes, right.
Thank you so much, everyone. Please stay
Thank you.
tuned, and we'll be right back at you again
Same time
next month.
next
Same
month.
time, same platforms.
Right.
Thank you so much. Remain Nigeria Eco Vibes Podcast.